Good morning. Welcome to Lemonade Meditation. Good to see you all.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning, Nate.
Good morning. Nice to see so many familiar faces.
So we got a special treat in store today. Nate gave us a teaser last week saying you would lead us through the most popular, the most requested meditation from your group at Carleton.
That's right.
I'm so eager. That's all I know. So I'm really eager.
So the teaser worked. It got you hooked, Tom.
Got it. Yes.
I'm quite excited. I've been thinking about it all morning, and I'm quite curious to see what will happen today. I'll start us off in probably a few minutes here.
Let's see, technical things. If anybody happens to get booted off, just click the same link and that should bring you back with us.
Where are folks joining us from this morning? Connie, you're in St. Paul, right? I beat you to the punch.
St. Paul.
Trish, you're in St. Paul as well?
Roseville.
Roseville.
Minneapolis.
Nice.
Hey, Sean.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm down in Northfield, about 45 minutes south of Minneapolis.
And I'm technically in St. Louis Park, but just a few blocks in from the Minneapolis border.
Okay.
Well, welcome everybody again to Lemonade Meditation. This is a weekly meditation that Nate and I were inspired to begin right after the quarantine began, to hope to help bring some calm and community. So we spend about 25 to 30 minutes on a guided meditation. Nate and I alternate weeks for that part, and then the last 10 minutes or so are for fellowship.
Well, so we'll go ahead and we'll get started. I'll introduce this. If you're able and willing to have your video on, we encourage you to do that, but definitely no pressure to if you don't want to. And this will be a little bit different today, because what we get to do today, hello, is your name Ruby? Wonderful.
Yes.
Ruby, welcome Ruby, good to see you.
Thanks.
So this will be a little bit different than other meditations, because often Tom or I were guiding you, and you're more or less sitting and listening, and you're practicing within your own head. So even though it is a group meditation, it is in some ways an individual meditation. Today what we're going to do is more of a true group meditation, and that it won't be just one way with me guiding you or talking at you. We'll get to all be talking and interacting throughout this, but in a very mindfulness meditation type of way. And to try to explain what that is like is when we practice within our own selves, our own head, our own bodies, things come to our awareness. And with a mindfulness meditation, we practice being more mindful of that. So I might have the thought of, oh, I'm hungry. And then typically, if that's me, I have the reaction, oh, I want to repress that, or I want to chase that, or I want to be anxious and figure something out. But with a mindfulness meditation, I practice just observing that. There's no need to change or control or fix or plan or repress, but just be with that. And then oftentimes we might also cultivate an attitude of acceptance or compassion or gratitude, and really be able to sit with that thought or that experience in maybe a different way than usual. And so today, what will happen is we'll get to bring things not just to our own awareness, but to the group awareness or the group consciousness. And so you'll get to put words to something, and you'd be able to, instead of just thinking to yourself, oh, I'm hungry, you can put that out into the group. And then the group is all aware the fact that you're experiencing hunger. And then with that, we get to sit with that and maybe do something with it. Maybe other people join and say, oh, I'm feeling hungry too, or follow it up with curiosity, or a difference. Oh, I'm not hungry. I'm super full. And we'll get to just practice being able to over and over again have new things come to our group consciousness, our group awareness, and then be able to maybe play with those things a bit and then let them fall back down and something else will come up. And it's one of those things that it's once we do it, you'll start to get it. It's kind of hard to explain at the beginning. But before we jump in, are there questions? Like, how are we going to do this? Or I don't get this, or...
I'll see if I can unmute everybody. Sometimes people still have to unmute themselves.
And that might become part of the process if there's feedback that we'll get to mute ourselves. But hello, Betty, welcome back. We get to see your face. Other questions or curiosities before we kind of formally transition? So we'll go ahead and start, and I'll just say take a moment to breathe and just notice whatever thoughts or feelings might be coming up as we begin this group meditation. And then as you're ready, go ahead and put words to those thoughts and feelings to bring into our group awareness.
Hope my dog stays quiet.
I noticed a number of smiles with that statement.
I love the feel of a cool wind coming through my open window.
Me too.
I'm hearing voices outside.
I'm hearing birds outside.
Me too.
I'm feeling appreciation that people are jumping in, they're going for it.
I'm thankful for a calm start to this day.
Here I am too. Feels like an anchor for Saturday.
I'm noticing a lot of faces that appear very calm. And maybe some curiosity of what's going on kind of behind those faces, thoughts or feelings or experiences.
My mind drifted off to thinking about getting my summer and spring clothes out.
Mm.
I'm thinking a bit about the day ahead, plans, hopes, anticipations, excitements.
And Connie, when you mentioned getting out spring and summer clothes, the image came to my mind of my cell phone that had lots of sun, and yesterday it said 80 degrees on it.
And when she said that, it reminded me that I can now wear my sandals again.
Mm.
Luscious.
Talk of summer made me a little bit worried and anxious for what this summer is going to look like.
Who else feels some of that worry and anxiousness about summer?
Oh, yes.
A lot of hand raised. I definitely have that piece inside of me too.
I hope the campgrounds open up.
I'm picturing you, Betty, walking around in a beautiful campground with your sandals on.
Great idea.
I'm trying to remember to enjoy the summer because I'm already worried about next winter.
Mm.
Mm.
I feel sad when I hear these comments about worry and anxiety. And I just think about all the unknowns we're all living with right now. It's heavy. It's a lot.
I feel a sense right now that I'm not alone.
And Trish, you were in the middle of my screen and everyone is touching your box.
I feel some self-criticism because I have the tools to rid myself of that anxiety I feel, but I'm not very skillful at practicing them right now.
I saw a number of quick head nods, Ruby, when you said that. So.
It does seem easy to have the fear and anxiety take over.
heard yesterday about a very dear young friend who they just found out a few days ago that they are pregnant and been toying with this baby growing during this pandemic, and it just kind of made me feel very joyful and hopeful.
I liked seeing the smile on your face, Connie, as you talked about that.
I feel some tension around this new form of mindfulness or meditation that I've never done before.
Me too.
Me too. Ruby, are you up for sharing a little more about what that tension is like for you?
I think that it feels like I'm leaning forward, waiting for the next thing that someone is going to say, sort of anticipating it. And there are moments where the silence feels a little uncomfortable. And I'm wondering, should I speak up and say something or let it be?
What are other people's experience with that silence?
I also feel compelled to fill it.
Found myself kind of reining myself in once I shared about Eric and Emma. I had a million images and feelings come to my mind, and I felt like I said to myself, yeah, you're talking too much.
So you felt compelled to not speak.
Mm-hmm.
this connects a little bit to my day-to-day life. I'm a teacher, and wait time has always been very difficult and uncomfortable for me. So this feels like an extended wait time.
Yeah, as you mentioned that, I think about when I'm teaching and there's almost a intentional tension with the silence to try to urge students to feel compelled to speak up or actually answer the question.
I'm appreciating some of the silence because it's giving me some time to actually sit with people and practice relaxing. And also, I've been enjoying over the last few months, I've been practicing more of listening to others. So I'm actually appreciating everything that everybody is saying.
I have a number of reactions to the silence. On the one hand, it feels just absolutely luxurious, like there isn't enough quiet. And as one of the leaders of this experience, that little bit of feeling responsible for people's experiences, like, oh, are they, worried about people? Are they liking it? Are they not liking it? And then just really curious, how long will the silence last? And what is someone going to say next? So all various varied responses.
I can join you in that, Tom. I think I have a very similar experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling brave that I kept the video on because I had planned to turn it off.
Yeah.
Me too.
And for some reason, that word brave is bringing up emotion inside of me. I feel a few tears coming up.
Want to say more about what was touched, Nate?
I'm working on it. I think, because I so resonate with that feeling, but I think, well, there's nothing worse than being vulnerable and it not going well. But there's nothing better than being vulnerable and it going well. And I think both Trish and Betty, you letting us really see you is a really vulnerable thing. And I think there's a lot of gratitude that came up with you being brave in that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It does feel good that silence is accepted too, because then I don't feel so obligated to say something.
And Betty, I smiled because that seemed like a good non-judgmental way of practicing today. I don't need to judge myself or criticize myself or feel like, oh, I have to do something. I'm okay if I'm just silent. I'll note that it's 10:55 a.m. and we'll continue this type of meditation together for 5 more minutes before transitioning for our last 10 minutes together.
really appreciating this experience of hearing what people are saying, and thinking and feeling, and not feeling, I mean, just being there with that and not feeling like, oh, I have to respond, I have to come up with something, but just feels like there's a gift that's offered and then another gift that's offered, and it's a lovely feeling.
I noticed my perception of time was affected with this different form of mindfulness, because when you said that we have 5 minutes left, I thought, wow, that went really fast.
Me too.
Me too.
Me too.
Ooh.
What things are people experiencing that they haven't yet put words to and feel, oh, it might be meaningful to bring this to the group's attention?
I'm really aware of how much my body has relaxed. It's just like my legs feel heavier, that there's not kind of muscle tension. I just feel kind of like I'm sinking in.
Anyone else feeling more relaxed like Connie? Anyone feeling more tense?
I don't think the tension that I feel has increased, but I'm certainly more mindful of the tightness in my shoulders.
Me too.
We have, it's 10:59, so we have 1 more minute of this group meditation.
I really liked hearing what people shared. It feels like we're really together.
Me too.
It brings a curiosity to mind that, was this a successful experience because there was the optimal number of participants? What would this look like with fewer or more?
Yeah.
I have a really strong feeling that we're in the same room, which obviously aren't, but it's interesting.
I'm surprised how quickly it lends itself to a sense of community with total strangers.
Mhm.
A lot of head nods with that comment, Ruby. We'll go ahead now and take another deep breath. Let your body start to stretch if you need. If your eyes are closed, you can, as you're ready, open them. And we'll take our last 10 minutes. Looks like we'll get kicked off in 9 minutes and 30 seconds, according to the timer on my screen. But to do a little bit of a debrief, kind of process what that was like, things that were helpful, that you really liked, that you want to keep or incorporate into your lives, things that weren't helpful, you didn't like I don't want to do that again. Or any curiosities or questions you might have, or any other things that would be helpful to process or to share with the group.
I think of meditation, I'm very new to it, but I think of meditation as being a solitary experience. And this experience felt much more like we were doing it with and for each other. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and at least that's been my experience doing this with a number of different groups, and there is a sense of connection that you get that with the guided meditation in a group setting, but there's a deeper level of connection that comes with this. And fascinating too how different each of those 8 times has been. It's a different ride every time, and I really appreciate that. What was it like because most people had their eyes closed for a lot of this, which was, it was kind of, I was very curious about that. I appreciated it in a lot of ways.
I think closing my eyes helped provide a little more balance, whereas when my eyes were open, I would feel that like anticipation and leaning into it even more so.
I think keeping my eyes closed allowed me to have both a group and an individual experience kind of at the same time. And I really appreciated that. I kind of felt like I was floating in and out of those two, or maybe they were just kind of seamlessly together.
Yeah, I did a meditation once where we were all sitting facing each other, and then the leader asked us to all turn our backs, so we were all facing the outside of the circle. And it was just fascinating, the pros and cons to both. Because at first I was like, oh, I don't want to face outside, but then in so many ways it felt really connecting in a different way. I was auditorily really attuned to things. And I will say, I really appreciated you, Ruby, noting that tension that I think so many of us are feeling, especially in that silence. And
Interestingly, when it started, I thought, oh, I'm going to hate this. And now that it's done, I think, oh my gosh, that's a practice that I would love to do with my meditation community. And that was amazing. So well done.
that seems to be most people's experience of just anxiety, tension, and then after actually experiencing it, like, oh, I can handle that, I can face that, and there's a lot of really nice things to it. That doesn't compare to life at all.
Several people mentioned feeling less alone, or like we were in the same room. That really struck me. Or community, that word came up. It's
And it's beautiful how that can happen even though we don't really, quote, know each other. So here we are in the same room and sharing the same experience, and we just become a community. Great.
I think that's why I ended up liking it so much, because it was this feeling. I've been doing a lot of online meditations, and it's lovely, and I love to meditate with others, but this sort of brought it closer in a different way.
Yeah, for me, it takes some of that, because when I'm leading and just talking at people, I'm guessing as to what might be meaningful or helpful. But this, it's more of that two-way road, and I get to really hear, well, what are you feeling?
Mhm.
And I would probably have no idea, Ruby, that you had that tension inside of you. But hearing that was so helpful. And then, of course, most everyone else was like, yes, me too. I'm in that place.
I'm still thinking about your comment around the observation that most of us had our eyes closed during this. And I think that that was helpful to hear people's voices, to not have the visual distraction of being in separate boxes. But also during meditation, I'm just noticing that from a sensory standpoint, the visuals, are kind of distracting. And then when I close my eyes and hear, I'm just in much better tune with my emotions and my thoughts without having the visual input.
Absolutely, yeah.
I found myself with my eyes closed most of the time, and then if I didn't recognize a voice or I wasn't sure, then I would open to see who was talking sometimes.
It was my
It felt a
experience.
little like a sound meditation too, just listening to people's voices and settling in.
I felt guilty a good chunk of the time because I wasn't closing my eyes, but I wanted to in some ways to be more respectful. But then I felt disattuned to what I was, because I, as maybe the leader of this, I find it very helpful to be observing people and kind of be curious in that type of way. And so I found a whole lot of meaning from doing this in this way today.
It helped a lot when you would say head nods or whatever, because then I could know and I didn't have to look.
Well, we have 1 minute left before we get kicked off, and I'll extend this to Tom, but anyone, it's a good speak now or hold your peace until next week.
I would just
Anything
like to say thank you for introducing us to this practice. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll give a plug for next week. The teaser worked so well last week. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I'll do the mountain meditation next week. Based on John Kabat-Zinn's mountain meditation. That's the plan as of now, at least.
good,
Oh, great.
you hooked us, but didn't give us everything, so we'll come back.
Curiosity.
It was great being with you all this morning. Have a great weekend and a good week. Hope to
Yes.
see you next Saturday, 10:30.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Be well. Enjoy the day.
You will. Bye-bye.
Likewise. Bye-bye.